Hi, everyone. I'll give everyone a minute to join. It takes a few seconds for the audience to get on the webinar. So I see the numbers, number of participants going up. So thank you to all of you who are following us on a weekly basis. And also thank you to, I see a few new names I haven't seen before. So thank you for joining us and participating in these weekly webinars. We do post the recordings on our website as well as the slides. So please share the invitation to others to join, share the recordings, and so that we can all be on the same page. If anyone else has questions, always happy to connect. Today I'm joined as usual by Alison Bulat, a really important member of our patient navigation team. So thank you, Alison. I know you connect with patients, and Catherine is off this week, so she'll be back soon. But the patient navigation team, really great opportunity to connect with anyone who may have questions outside of this webinar. And today I'm really honored to be joined by Dr. Suresh, a fantastic site investigator from Florida. And as you know, this summer we are taking a tour around the country to get to know our sites, get to know our site investigators and the people that enroll participants in the trial. So if you are in the Florida area, make sure to connect with Dr. Suresh. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Suresh, and if you could let us tell us more about your site and your experience in the trial so far, we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. We're one of the sites in Florida. We're University of South Florida, and we're participating, I believe, amongst 60 sites in the HEALEY trial. Next slide. So just to give you a little background about our particular site, we're located in Tampa and primarily at a Frank and Morsani Center of Excellence. And it was established relatively recently in 2010, and it provides a multidisciplinary clinic for patients with ALS in the Tampa Bay area. And on average, we support about 250 to 350 patients per year, and we are growing. And we're actually the only academic tertiary referral center on the west coast of Florida at this point. And the people that work in our clinic is myself, Dr. Vu, and Jerica Farias, who is our full-time nurse practitioner. And we also have a support from 8 other neuromuscular specialists as well at our site, and 2 fantastic coordinators that specifically work in the HEALEY trial, Lucy and Laura. And we're just very excited to be part of the trial. We think that it's a great opportunity for patients to be able to participate and hopefully make a big difference in moving that ticker closer to finding a cure for ALS.
Thank you so much. And please be sure to contact Dr. Suresh and her team. We're glad that you're here with us. And again, we'll take questions right after our weekly update. As you know, we are testing 4 drugs at this time in the context of this platform trial, which is meant to be perpetual. We will continue to add new drugs to be tested. So I just want to reassure everyone that as we complete testing for the first few drugs, we are already working on adding the next few regimens. So again, the idea is to keep the trial open. Also, for the participants who are in the double-blind period, as you know, at the end of the double-blind period, there is the opportunity to continue an open-label extension. And so essentially, for the people who have already been enrolled or are being enrolled now in the current regimens, they'll be able to be on the open-label extension if they desire to be on active drug, essentially until we know the results of the trial of the first few drugs. So again, this is really a great trial that we've been communicating with you about for the last few months, and I'm really excited to provide enrollment updates today. So if we can go to the next slide. We have really great enrollment so far. So thank you so much. Everyone who participates in the trial is really a valued research partner and really contributes directly to really learning more about so many drugs and learning more about the science in ALS. At this point, we're getting very, very close to completing enrollment in the first 3 regiments A, B, and C. As you can see in the numbers, as of right now, we have almost 160 participants in each of the first 3 regiments. And obviously we'll keep you posted and you'll be the first to know when that enrollment goal has been reached. As soon as that happens, essentially 2 things will happen. So we'll start obviously, enrolling faster in Regiment D, which was added 6 months after the first 3 regiments were launched. And then in terms of participants in the regiments A, B, and C, essentially the clock starts ticking in the sense that we know after we complete enrollment in the first 3 regiments that, about 6 months later, those people who are in the regiment, the last few participants to be enrolled will complete the double blind. And so that's when we really start moving towards sort of final closeout. And so again, we're really excited to be moving forward with this trial and again, very close to the enrollment goals for the first 3. Next slide. So if you want to enroll and find information about all sites, including Dr. Suresh's site, you can find the information on our website. You can use the link or the QR code. Next slide. And then, as always, Catherine and Alison, as discussed earlier, are available to ask your questions about the trial in general. You can also check out the eligibility criteria on our website. We even have an eligibility tool for people to sort of do a first pre-screen on whether they qualify for the trial. Next slide. And here we share every week the list of investigators who will be joining us. As you can see here, we have several people who will be joining us from different sites, as well as Jem DiMartino from ALS1, who is one of the patient organizations that's supporting this trial. We have a couple of dates when this webinar won't happen. September 16th in observance of Yom Kippur, and then October 7th because we have the annual NIS consortium meeting at the same time. And that's the NIS consortium is the consortium of clinical sites that we're part of. And many of those are, most of them, I assume, they will be attending the meeting, and that's our annual meeting. And we will also include meetings with different platform trial sites, because the platform trial also happens at the NIS consortium. So again, we look forward to meeting with you and all the guest speakers over the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll announce completion of enrollment very, very soon. I wonder which week, but hopefully very, very soon. So maybe we can stop sharing the slides and we can start taking the questions. Perhaps, Alison, can I ask you to read the questions out aloud?
Yes, absolutely.
We got great questions to start.
Yes, we have some questions coming in. The first question I'm going to read directly so I don't miss anything. The phase 3 Champion ALS trial showed that Ultomiris, if I'm saying that right, was unable to move the needle on ALS symptoms. One company that will be alarmed by the Champion ALS results is UCB, which is developing a complement called zilucoplan, which is in our HEALEY platform trial. Results from that study are due later this year. Do you have any comments on zilucoplan in relation to this?
No, this is a great question. Absolutely. It's true that both the drug that was in development, the Ultomiris drug in development sponsored by AstraZeneca Alexion, that's a complement inhibitor. There are other complement inhibitors in development for ALS. One of them is zilucoplan. There's more in trials. And so absolutely, I think, it's very important to understand that we're looking at different molecules. So while the pathway is the same or the mechanisms are similar, different molecules can have several key differences. And that's actually the case when you compare the molecule that we are testing in the platform trial to the molecule that was found found to be not in the context of the separate trial that you're asking about. There are key differences. I should say that we have had conversations with UCB from the minute we learned about the press release. The full data of the Ultomiris trial are not available yet, but we know that again it was found to be non-effective based on a planned analysis, interim analysis during the conduct of the trial. We've been in direct contact with all the sites, as well as our patient advisors. We have a fantastic patient advisory committee, as you know, who's been providing amazing feedback since really, even before we launched the trial, even in terms of trial design and planning. And then now we continue to ask them to provide feedback, and they're amazing and really generous with their feedback. So we reviewed the key differences between the molecules, and based on these key differences that include a different type of molecule, a different binding site on the complement, different pharmacokinetics and dosing regimen, which basically means there's a very different way of the drug to be dosed and the levels of the drug. And also, most importantly, they are a completely different molecule. Zilucoplan is a small protein, and Ultomiris, the other drug, is a large monoclonal antibody. And we know that when you compare small proteins to large molecules like large monoclonal antibodies, there will be a difference in penetrance into the brain. So again, the results in one trial don't necessarily translate or predict anything in a different trial. We're talking about different molecules, even if the overall pathway is similar. We are also working on, in collaboration with the patient advisory committee, on sort of additional talking points and language that we can share. Everything that we share on our website needs to go through approval from the central IRB. But again, I'm happy to report that we've done this assessment in collaboration with scientists, the company, the patient community, and the sites. And I think there's oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. You are the moderator today, so I shouldn't. I shouldn't.
Dr. Suresh, there's a question. Is your site participating in any expanded access programs right now?
So our site has not yet, but that is something that we may work into in the future. There are a lot of exciting new medications and treatment options that are coming in. And so that's certainly something that we are considering, but we haven't yet had the support just yet to complete that.
Yeah, and I do think I do want to add to that. So first of all, thank you so much for all your work in the platform trial. I know many sites are interested in working on expanded access, and I really appreciate the support. As discussed in previous webinars, participating in an expanded access program also requires additional resources at the site, because we cannot interfere with the other trials, or we cannot take resources away. So I think it's important to continue to fundraise and provide additional support. It's definitely a goal of ours to partner with great sites like yours and continue to gather additional resources, so that hopefully very soon many more sites, or even all sites, will be able to participate in EAP, which will be great for everyone.
Definitely. Thank you, Dr. Suresh. There's another question for you. Could you share some of your experiences in working with research participants on the HEALEY trial and things that are really working well?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the really nice aspects of the HEALEY trial is there's just so many different options in terms of regimen arms. So there's right now 4, and then there's potentially probably more that may be coming on in the future. And so it's a nice way for someone who's looking to participate in trials, not have to necessarily commit to any one particular study, and kind of have a broad access to several different studies at one time. Now, in terms of patients, I think that it's nice to, from a site standpoint, to be able to get to know your patients a little bit closer because we get to see them very often. So that's one of the benefits that I certainly see with participating through the HEALEY trial. And additionally, I think that it's also nice that the placebo arm is just shared so that there's only a 25% rate of somebody getting, randomized into a placebo arm of the study. So I think those are three definite advantages that I certainly talk to my patients about as I tell them about the study.
Thank you. And Dr. Suresh, we did lose video of you. If you are able to turn that back on, if not, that's okay too. There you go. Dr. Paganoni, there's a question, is there a gathering of biomarkers as part of this trial?
Absolutely. There is a big biomarker component, and we really thank all the sites and all the participants for all your work in gathering these additional biosamples, plasma samples, and optional spinal fluid. This is incredibly important because we're really trying to understand more about this, to learn more about the drugs that we're testing. And also, I would say we are really trying to learn more about ALS itself and really innovate the field. That's why biomarkers are important to continue to help us identify new targets and better ways of doing trials. So absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. In addition, this is a great question. If after being on one of the trial medications, one of the others is found to be more effective, will everyone be able to transfer over to get the medication?
So I think, that we have discussed these in previous webinars as well, that if a trial medication is approved by the FDA or other medications are approved by the FDA, we would allow participants in this trial to be on standard of care. So in other words, just like right now, people participating in the trial can be on Riluzole, Radicava, and other medications, Nudexta, or other medications that are commonly used in ALS. If a new medication, whether it's developed as part of another regimen or somewhere else, becomes FDA approved, at that point, that will be allowed.
Thank you. There's a question if the recordings of past webinars are available online, and I can answer that. Yes, they are. You can go out to the HEALEY Platform Trial website, and all of the past webinars are available to you online. Question, Dr. Suresh, that we hear often in patient navigation is it's such a difficult decision for participants to decide whether or not to go into open label extension. How do you talk about that option with your patients?
So it's, I personally feel that open label extension is a nice way for patients to really know and that they are receiving the drug. And at that point, it's a great way for them to determine, how possibly effective some medication is. So I really encourage them to continue, and each medication works differently and have different response rates, different pharmacokinetics, as Dr. Paganoni also suggested. So it's very, I encourage them to really strongly consider open label extension because it's truly the way that we know that a medication may be effective for them or not.
Oh, Alison, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Further to that, we received a question in advance, Dr. Suresh. I wonder if you could add to that. A participant wondering if they are in a certain regimen and they complete it, can they then choose to go into open label extension for a different regimen?
So my understanding is that, in order to go into a different regimen, once they hit open label, we do have to re-randomize them back. So they'd have to rescreen into a different arm. Is that?
Right. So if somebody completes the 6 months portion of the regimen, they can re-enter. They would have to be eligible again. And essentially they would re-enter sort of like a new person, a completely brand new participants. And so they would be assigned to any of the other regimens that are available. Somebody cannot be reassigned twice to the same, I should say, because again, that's kind of not a great use of anyone's time and resources, but people could be assigned to a second regimen, not the same that was assigned before.
Dr. Paganoni, can you clarify on that? We also received a question in advance asking if you do complete your 6-month placebo-controlled portion of the trial, can you then select which other regimen you'd like to go into?
No, I understand the question. So basically, no, it's one cannot select, just like the selection is not possible the first time. Because again, when somebody re-enters, they re-enter as a brand new participant, essentially. And this is to preserve the scientific integrity of the trial. I mean, the goal of the trial is to be able to tell if these drugs are effective or not. And if we allowed participants to select, we would introduce bias, which would basically make us unable to determine if the drugs are effective or not. So that's part of the design of the trial, of any trial, really.
Thank you. Question for you, Dr. Paganoni, on a little bit different of a subject. For people unable to get into the platform trial while waiting on AMX 0035 approval, do you think taking tedca possibly would help slow progression, since it's written that tedca is the active ingredient in AMX 0035?
So I would suggest that you discuss that with your treating physician. I mean, the dose and the composition of AMX 35 are publicly available. They are published, all the details. And so obviously the drug that was tested in the center trial was pharmaceutical grade AMX 35. So I cannot comment on the effect of individual components from different sources. However, again, that's a great conversation to have with your physician. I do have to say that I do receive the same question in the clinic. And so I think it's a personal choice if people, prefer to try that, knowing that it's not the exact drug that was tested in the trial, but, but it's at least part of it, or if they prefer to do something else and participate in research like this trial or others. Again, it's a personal decision that is best discussed with your physician.
So there's a similar question asking how that combination was arrived at for that preclinical phase of that trial and what other combinations were tested.
Yeah, so several doses of the same combination, I should say, were tested. And so the one that was selected was the most effective in the lab. And so how did they select these two specific components is that there was basically some background research looking at some of the key elements or key pathways that are affected in ALS. And so, so the thought was that by affecting two at the same time, one would have better results than just affecting one at a time. And so they tested it in the lab. They tested this combination at different doses, and they saw that the specific dose that was selected was effective in the lab.
Perfect. And do you know, Dr. Paganoni, what month do you expect results from the phase 2 trial for CNM AU8 conducted in Australia to be shared?
Yes, I don't know that a specific date has been announced. I believe it's going to be later this year. And so again, I think, we obviously can reach out to Clean directly for more information. Again, I think it should be in the next few months. But again, I don't have any specific information.
Wonderful. Well, I think, doctors, that is the list of open questions that we had that were submitted today. So I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Paganoni.
Great, thank you so much. Again, it's always great to have this discussion. I really appreciate all the questions, and it's really important, I think, to have, again, a upfront conversation about everything that's going on, and we're particularly excited to getting real close to the end of enrollment for the first few regiments, but we will continue to add new regiments. So again, we continue to do a lot of work in the background to continue to expand the trial, and really we couldn't be doing any of this work without the dedication of sites like yours, Dr. Suresh, that are really working closely with interested individuals that want to enroll in the trial. Anyone, please contact Dr. Suresh if you are in that area. Thank you so much to everyone who's participating in the trial or supporting participation or raising awareness. Again, we are really getting to an exciting milestone, and we can't wait to discuss the next steps with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.